So our first action or operation is shear. So let's go ahead and copy our 1/4 base volume, and we'll create 2, 3 copies right here. Okay, and our first operation is shear, which it's quite straightforward, right? We actually want to push an edge, right, in. So we're shearing it in. And here I can find it an example right here so that I can illustrate the variety, right? So we have the dashed lines right here. It's sort of like the ghost of the original volume. Notice how we're actually pushing in, right? Or as we can see in this example over here, the bottom is what gets pushed inwards. And we can do that fairly easily with our direct selection tool. So in Rhino, if you hold, I'm sorry, on your keyboard, if you hold Control Shift and then click. So Control Shift, select an edge, making sure your grid snap is on. We'll be turning grid snap on and off. In this case, let's try with on, right? So you can see that we can achieve something like this. I'll go ahead and turn off my ISO curves. So that's the difference. And we can do it from multiple edges, right? So we've sheared this edge, and we've sheared this edge right here. And we can continue that and see what happens if we turn off grid snap. All right, we can do that right there. We can bring this there. So sort of like a trapezoid shape, a little bit more loose. Go ahead and select this right here, turn that off. And we can even select this, hold shift, and if we want, we can shear this inwards. So you see how we can go from shearing one edge, in this case is right here, or 3, such in this case over here, right? I can also select this one over here, push it inwards like that, right? So quite simple, straightforward. Next we have notch. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to copy again my 1/4 inch base volume. I'm using grid snap so that I can place them. I'm going to bring those 2 copies, and I'm going to bring a copy of this 1/16 base volume. So we can achieve right here. Okay. So next we have our notch. Notice how, like in this case right here, we're notching inwards, right? So we have this 90-degree angle right here, and this additional angle right here, where we're pushing inwards. And we can create a number of other combinations, right? Such as in this case right here, where we have these 2 notches in this form right here. So we're going to use a couple of commands. The first one is split face. So I'll come over here and start right here. So if we type split face, right? Go ahead and turn have grid snap on, select the face to split, enter. Right, I'm going to split from here the midpoint, right? Like as such. Notice that it doesn't seem that much happens, but again, if I turn off the ISO curve, you'll see that I do end up with a split line right there. And if you hold another handy tool in Rhino is Control Shift, you select, right? So we just want that face. But then check this out. You click on the arrow and you hold Control. Notice how I have popped that up. I'm gonna undo because again it can be kind of tricky. So again, Control Shift, select. Now here it's important, if you don't hold Control and you just pull like that, notice that it brings sort of like this in an angle like that. And what we actually want is to actually just create this L shape right here. So we don't want that. Okay, so that's why, again, I'll repeat. So Control Shift select, and then you click on the green arrow, and before you move, you hold Control key and you bring that out. Now you see the difference right here. We don't have that line that we were kind of like getting right here. There's nothing wrong with either. They're just different tools, and that's the one that we were looking for. Okay, and then I'm gonna click merge all coplanar faces, enter, and I get rid of this division line right here. And then if I do Control Shift select that edge and move it, I've created my notch. Right, I've created my notch. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so let's see what happens now. If we notch, for example, right here on the top. So what was that command? Split face, select face, enter. Here I'm gonna use my near selection tool. So near is on right here, checked for me. So I'm gonna snap there and snap perpendicularly to this, like that. Again, I'm gonna turn off the ISO curve so that we can see this better. Again, I wanna bring this surface, I wanna bring it out, really extrude it so that I achieve something like that. And again, if I just Control Shift and move it up, notice that we get that angle, which is not necessarily what we want or are looking for at this point. Right, we're actually looking for something more like what I'm drawing right there with pink. So what do? We can undo and turn that off. So again, what was the command? Control Shift select, place your cursor, in this case in the blue arrow, the Z-axis, click on the arrow, hold the Control key, and move your cursor up. And you'll see that now we have achieved what we were aiming for. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the grid snap. I'm gonna select that form right there, type merge all coplanar faces so that I can get rid of those lines right there. And I can hold Control Shift select that edge right there, and I can create my notch. I can bring this in, right, as needed, like that. And I can Control Shift select that. Let's say that I want to lower that a little bit. I can click on that arrow before I move it down, hold Control, and should be able to bring that down like that. Okay, so we're creating these notches in this form as such. Okay. Let's see, maybe we can do something like what we did right here. Let's see what happens if you split face this object. I'm gonna go ahead and have grid snap off so that I can split it from there to there. I'm gonna hold Shift so that I can snap to that perpendicular edge right there. And I'm gonna do another split face. Well, here, let's maybe not get ahead. Before we do that, turn off the ISO. Let's go ahead and select this object right there. This is the left face. Control Shift Select. Place your cursor on top of that green arrow. Click. Hold Control Shift. Move it outwards. Notice that I have grid snap off, so my movement's a little bit more free. And then I can do another split face. Now on this face right here, enter, snap to that end and end, enter. Control Shift, select that face. Place my cursor on top of that green arrow. Click, hold Control, move out. Select object, merge all coplanar faces. And now notice that I can continue notching this, right? So if I do now Control Shift, select that edge, I can notch that inwards. Control Shift Select, notch that inwards, like that. So we're creating this notches for this form right here. Okay, and let's say that I wanted to. So something else that you can do. Copy this. From that point right there, so I'm gonna snap, grid snap, maybe bring it right there, so I have a copy. And if I do a Control Shift Select, place my cursor on top of that green arrow, click, hold Control. Notice that right now grid snap is on, so I was able to stretch it inwards and make it thinner. I can undo that, get rid of grid snap, Control Shift, select that surface, place my cursor on that green arrow, click, hold Control, and I can, edit that as such with that notch. Okay, so I'm gonna move this to this grid right there. Okay. Next, we have taper on this on the list. And as you'll see, what it allows us to do, maybe you can see it a little bit better, in a different order here. Okay. So what it allows us to do is start with a base volume of a prism, right, rectangular prism. And notice that I can taper inward all of the edges, right? In this case, from the top, and I achieve these angles right here. Or I can do it from sideways, or I can do it from the bottom, as the diagram right here on the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. We're going to bring in a copy of both of these items with grid snap on. Bring this right there. Okay, and we'll create another copy. This guy right here. And then let's go ahead and flip this guy up by rotating 90 degrees. Type move. Go ahead and snap to your grid from that end. And let's go ahead and create another copy. I can show you something else. Move this. I'm gonna copy this guy right there. It's getting tight over here, so I'm gonna move all of this over here. Okay, so the first option, quite simple. If you select Control Shift, select that face, and you hold Shift. But before we do that, actually, let's go ahead and turn off Grid Snap. Control Shift, hold Shift. Notice that I can change this, right? And I have taper that form, right? That prism like that. Okay. Now, if we try something else, if we use the split face, I can select this face right here, snap to that first grid right here, and then split that face, click enter to repeat that same command, select that face. Now split this face from that point right there, enter, and I'm going to go all around. So enter, split face from there to there, enter. Lastly, select this one right here, enter, from there to there, enter. Again, select the object, turn the ISO curves off. Doesn't seem that much has happened. But if we repeat the operation, we Control Shift, select the face, place our cursor on this little square in your gumball, hold Shift, click inward. I can complete my taper. With the difference that this remained straight, right? So we don't have that angle as we did in the first one, which again, right now is just modeling exercises. It really is, you know, up to each of you. So we can maybe even select this face, for example, and we can taper all of this inwards, right? And we have that right there. So just kind of like to illustrate that in order for it to be tapered doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a stretch on the vertical axis as these guys are, but or I guess the direction, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a tall, slender, but it could also be shorty right here, and also being tapered, right, from all four sides. Okay, and again, that works in any face. So for example, if I select this one right here, hold Shift, I can bring this inwards like that, and that's also been tapered. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it's been tapered. I think actually taper is 1p, right? Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and click save. Try those, and we'll come back and continue with our next operations.